why don't we get started? So thank you everybody for joining the COVID-19 contact tracing with Helium and Smart Mimic webinar. My name is Gemmell, and I'm responsible for B2B product marketing and product management. And for this webinar, we have a very special guest, Noyan Berker, who is the CEO of Smart Mimic. And Noyan, why don't you introduce yourself?
Thanks, Del. Hi, this is Noyan. I'm a co-founder and CEO of Smart Mimic. We will be pleased to share our solution with you guys.
Great, thanks, Noyan. So here's what we plan on covering today. We already went over intros. I'm going to talk about the Helium network. Then we're going to discuss some of the challenges that COVID-19 has presented. It's obviously a very unique time, and there's some real challenges that businesses are struggling with. After that, I'll hand it over to Noyan, and Noyan will share with you guys the Smart Mimic solutions that they have built to help businesses protect workers, help businesses continue operations. And then finally, we'll have our Q&A. And in addition to that, we will, after the webinar, so this webinar is being recorded, and after the webinar, we will upload it to the Helium YouTube channel. So just quickly about Helium. So Helium was founded in 2013, and the mission was to build these decentralized wireless networks to make it really simple for sensors and devices to connect to the internet. They recognized that there was a massive opportunity and it was a difficult problem to solve. But we were very fortunate to have a number of very highly reputable venture capital firms support us and share our mission. So you can see there's a number of them. I'm not going to name them all, but Coastal Ventures, Firstmark, Google Ventures, and then quite recently, Multicoin Capital and USB, or Union Square Ventures. So back in 2013, and still what the team had identified is that there is a real gap between the existing network technologies and what is needed for these next generation IoT devices. When you think about the Internet of Things, there's been a lot of hype, but it really hasn't met its potential. And we think a big part of that is some of the demands of these devices are not well suited for the existing technologies that offer. And if you really want to support these devices, you need to enable them to have things like years of battery life, tiny form factor. This is important for use cases like asset tracking without requiring cellular. Cellular is expensive. It was never really designed for these small devices. And in addition to that, it really kills batteries. Now, you still, however, need to have miles of range for this connectivity if you want to really expand the number of use cases that you can support. Making sure that it's open source, like the internet is open source, it uses open protocols for connectivity, and then of course making sure that it's secure. So with those demands in mind, Helium set out to build a network that was purpose-built for these IoT devices. So if you think about it, it's a very interesting problem, right? You've got existing technologies that don't do the job, like cellular, Wi-Fi, Bluetooth, but how do you then go about creating a dedicated network, purpose-built, based on the demands that we just covered? Now, there's a number of different options. One way you could do it is you could buy and deploy a whole bunch of network infrastructure. That's going to take a really long time. It's going to cost a lot of money. And at the end of the day, are you really better off than, say, another telco company? You essentially become a mini telco. And in addition to that, that network is now owned by a single centralized organization. And we have lots of experiences with ISPs or telcos that are very big organizations, and they dominate the connectivity for devices. So we thought, what if there's a different way? What if, rather than Helium just trying to build this network, what if it was a community built network? What if we enabled anyone to participate, buy a hotspot, plug it in, provide coverage, and then get rewarded for doing that? And what we feel would, as a result of that, you would be able to build the network much quicker. It would be much cheaper to build the network, and you would have this truly decentralized network that would not be relied on a single organization. So at the heart of the network is hardware. So this is a small physical device. We call it Helium Hot Spot. And it's really at the heart of the network. So you plug this in, you provide coverage, and as an owner, you start mining tokens. So this was a way for us to incentivize anyone. We had to make it very streamlined. We had to make the onboarding experience very consumer friendly so that really anybody could purchase a hotspot and provide coverage and get rewarded for doing it. So that is the hotspot. Now there's a network architecture needed to support this network as well, something we call LongFi. Now LongFi combines the LoRaWAN wireless protocol, which is an open standard, and is used by, is already proven to be very reliable for very big deployments, but also combine that with the Helium blockchain. And not only is the network then LoRa compatible, so you can use these devices off the shelf right away, but you get features like device roaming, where it doesn't matter if the device starts to connect, say in Alaska, and then it finds itself in Florida, it's fine. It's the same public network, and it can still transfer and receive data. Micropayment transactions. So the blockchain is the foundation for this decentralized network, providing rewards and incentive for people to participate. It's also giving us the ability to do these micropayment transactions so that hotspot owners, when someone's device uses their hotspot to send data to the internet, they're also getting rewarded as well. And then the last one is cryptographic proof. So this is very unique to us and our blockchain, which is something we had to build ourselves. Every time there is a connection event from a device or a sensor, the time and location of that event is recorded to the blockchain. And if you know anything about blockchains, one of their core capabilities is that anything written to the blockchain is immutable, so it can't be altered by anyone. So this is a very unique capability that we get using this combination of LoRaWAN and the Helium blockchain. So how did we do? You know, you think you have a great idea, you start executing on it, but you're never really sure what the market reaction is going to be until you launch it to the market. And we are very happy with the progress and the reception that we've gotten from our community. We only started shipping nationwide since October, so a little over 6 months. We've already got sales to over 1,000 cities, and this includes both US and Canada. Canada came online not a few weeks ago. And in the US, is what's what we were very happy about is it's not just some specific high populated areas. We see coverage across the US and actually in all 50 states, including Alaska and Hawaii. So this is the coverage map, and what this represents is actual coverage and not sales. So all these dots are hotspots that are providing coverage for IoT devices, and they're also earning rewards for their owners. I think last time I checked, we surpassed a little over 4,000 quite recently. And again, this is trailing, so our sales is much greater than that. These dots represent the actual hotspots that are providing coverage today. So very cool. So if you have an IoT use case and you're thinking about connectivity, and you don't want to go and deal with private networks, you don't want to get into the network infrastructure business yourself. So we feel like with Helium, one of the core benefits is that these organizations can focus on building their applications and not worrying about this network infrastructure. So even though we have only started shipping since October, we have already built the largest public IoT network in the US. To meet the demands of these devices is optimized for long range and long battery life. And we really wanted to minimize any type of obstacles for businesses or partners to start using the network. And so we have very highly competitive connectivity costs. Just to give you an example, if you have a sensor and you're sending messages every 5 minutes for every day for 365 days, at the end of the year, you will only end up paying $1. So that would be, that sensor would have sent over 100,000 messages. And yeah, so it would cost you $1. It's very important for us to make sure, obviously, that our core technologies was using open source, that the network was decentralized. And this is very important because obviously we want Helium to be around for a long time, but if for some reason, knock on wood, Helium Incorporated went away, the network would continue to function. And so the network and operability of the network doesn't depend on Helium. So this is very important. So companies who are building on the network and participating, they don't have to worry about the fate of Helium Incorporated. Supporting off-the-shelf commodity sensors, we talked about that LoRaWAN support. So anyone can just go online, order some sensors, onboard it with our console, and start sending data. And then that unique characteristic of blockchain, in addition to providing that incentive and rewarding hotspot users, we're also able to record those connection events permanently. So I'm just going to tee this up a little bit for Noyan and Smart Mimic. Obviously, this COVID-19 situation is evolving very rapidly, but there's some very clear guidelines that have come out from OSHA and CDC. So OSHA has said, OSHA is very important in the US in terms of their safety and health guidelines for organizations. And they come out and said, look, the prompt identification and isolation of potentially infectious individuals is critical, right? The CDC has said a similar thing in terms of, look, if an employee is suspected or confirmed to be infected, the employer, it's the responsibility of the employer to take action. Somebody who would be considered exposed is folks that are in the facility and have come within 6 feet of that exposed or infected person. And then they also talk about closing off areas for prolonged periods for like cleaning and disinfecting that were used by that sick person. Now, these guidelines are pretty clear and they make sense, but you can, if you put yourself in the shoes of a facility manager at, say, a meat processing plant, it becomes a very large challenge to be able to comply with these guidelines. So just as a quick example, if I'm a facility manager, I've got 3 shifts and I've got dozens or hundreds of people for each shift. And then one of my workers calls in and says, hey, it's Bob, I'm on the night shift and I'm calling in sick because I've been infected with COVID-19. So I'm going to be taking sick leave. I just want to let you know. Now, as a facility manager, you're in a very difficult situation. You know that Bob is on the night shift, you know the other workers that are on that night shift, but who has Bob come in contact with and potentially exposed to COVID-19, so you can isolate them and minimize the risk of other exposure to other workers. So that's just kind of teeing it up for Smart Mimic. In addition, so the blockchain is quite unique. OSHA also talks about record-keeping requirements, COVID-19 being a recordable illness. As we said, that blockchain, you can think of it as this cryptographic notary, very useful in reporting since these connection events are added to the blockchain and no one can alter them. They become immutable. So that, I'm going to stop sharing. Actually, what I'm going to do is I'm going to provide a video for Smart Mimic, and then I'm going to hand it over to Smart Mimic. Oh, actually, I jumped the gun a little bit. Sorry, so a couple more slides. If you want to get started, like if you want to help build coverage, buy a hotspot, go to the helium.com store. And if you want to use coverage, register with our console. So free registration for our hosted device management platform, console.helium.com, and just start playing around with it and sending device data. This is the last one. Yeah. So we feel that there is a huge opportunity with this network and working with entrepreneurs and innovative companies to build really great devices that actually can help society and move society forward. So we have a contest going with a number of partners, as you can see, to let people show off their capabilities, what they can do, come up with stuff that we'd never think of that is really helping some of the critical needs that we're facing in society. And now I'm going to really stop sharing and play the Smart Mimic video and then hand it over to Noyan. So.
Most accurate location tracking with the lowest power consumption.
Sorry.
Keep the production going with the most accurate social distance tracker. Introducing Mimic S. Warns when in the social distance with vibration and light. Alerts with alarm if the violation continues. Adjust all the variables. Set your workspace limits. Warn when in 2-meter distance. Control it easily via the dashboard. See details on the heat map. Lower your risks by gathering information on how long a potentially infected person communicates with their teammates. Monitor and track your employees in real time without any connection issues. Most accurate location tracking with the lowest power consumption. Mimic S communicates via LoRa and doesn't require any other complementary device, such as smartphones. Save thousands of dollars, no data fees ever. Turn your facility into a safe, risk-free environment in times of COVID-19.
All right. So now I'm going to hand it over to Noyan. Noyan, take it away.
Yeah, thanks, Del. Thanks for the great information. I would like to talk about who we are, about Smart Mimic. We founded in 2017. So we are a San Francisco-based leading IoT tech company providing end-to-end security and tracking solutions. And we have advisors, investors, and partners from Forbes 500 companies, including Apple and Google. We have a team of experienced hardware and software developers, marketing and business development professionals. And with the combination of Mimic's hardware, software intelligence, and new network technology, which is LoRaWAN, Smart Mimic is now building the future of security. And I would like to talk about our solution. You saw it in the video. So with the COVID-19 pandemic, it is mandatory for companies to take precautions in their workspace before starting the production according to OSHA standards. So as Smart Mimic, our technology allowed us to solve this core problem, and we come up with our new product, which is Mimic S. So Mimic S helps mitigate the risk associated with COVID-19 by warning the employees and detecting the risky contacts with accurate positioning, real-time connectivity, advanced battery life, and most importantly, no data cost, because that's thanks to our Helium's business model. When combined with ours, we are proud to say no data fee forever for all Smart Mimic products, and Mimic S not an exception. So Mimic S has a strong alarm and light, and it uses LoRaWAN, and LoRaWAN allows real-time monitoring, low power consumption, no data fees, and all the variables can be adjusted in real time because we are always connected to the internet with, from LoRa. It measures distance with Bluetooth and sends the data in real time from LoRa to the internet. Like there are various different social distance trackers on the market to provide COVID-19 risk mitigation for facilities and offices, but they have core problems such as high device and data costs, connectivity problems, low battery life of devices. So basically an LTE device or a device connected to the internet without LoRa or without sub-gigahertz bands, it will have connectivity problems, interference problems, because industrial spaces have under heavy interference. So LoRa is the best possible option to overcome this issue. I would like to continue with the story because the story will tell why we are doing this. One of our clients from Forbes 30 companies, they're one of the multi-billion-dollar food processing companies, come to us and asked about a social distance tracking solution for their production facilities and offices. This company we were with this company we were working very closely and for a long time for a different project, and that's right now that's their biggest problem because they want to keep production and they want to provide a safe environment. So that's why we developed Mimic S, derived from our Mimic Go product, which is Mimic Go is the world's first portable security gadget, which we are launching on July to the end customers in the US. Mimic S started getting demand from various companies from US, Europe, and Canada, and currently we are doing multiple POCs to prove the concept, basically. Usually what we are doing with the companies, we first start with a POC and then expand to mitigate risks, warn employees, and provide enhanced dashboard to enterprises. We are also providing advanced features such as fall detection, location tracking, and with a platform agnostic server side, we for privacy protection for those companies who concerned about the privacy, because that health data is super crucial. And thanks to Helium's blockchain model, blockchain system, we make sure that that data won't tweak out. With Mimic S solution, enterprise can mitigate risks in the highest level and doesn't need to pay for expensive data costs, only the hardware and monthly maintenance fees. So this is the dashboard looks like. It's a basic dashboard that you can add, remove employees from Mimik's control panel, and you can adjust device settings like distance limits, alarm volume, according to your needs. If it's a loud environment and if you want to be proactive with your with the social distance violation, you can basically set the device to alarm after employees violated social distancing more than 30 seconds, 1 minute. It's up to you. But we recommend 30 seconds to make sure that there will be no infection. So basically, the dashboard will show you who exposed, who is healthy, and who is infected. You said one person infected, it will automatically shows you the tree of social tree of that person. And this is how a heat map looks like. If you choose location features, you can basically create a heat map of your of the employees in the workspace. This is the technical specs of Mimic S in a one page. If you like to, you can take a screenshot, or we will be sharing the presentation afterwards. So we are getting this question a lot, like what happens after COVID-19? What we will do with these devices? So there are basically two options. Since Mimic S derived from Mimic Go, it can be updated back to Mimic Go. Mimic Go is a personal security device for your home, your car, garage, backyard, and hopefully travel. We will update the device, and basically you can give those devices to your employees as a celebration gift. Other possible application, what we are doing with food processing companies, actually, it's keep using it as fault detection, emergency head counting, and location tracking features. So later on, enterprises can use Mimic S for those features to keep benefiting from the device after outbreak ended. And that's basically it. Now, as Smart Mimic, we are opening another investment round to meet the growing Mimic S and Mimic Go demand and enhance the production and the team. So thank you. We can move on to Q&A. If you have any questions, we will be happy to answer.
Thanks for that, Noyan. Appreciate it. So I think...
Yeah, we have questions, yes.
Okay, yeah. I believe we can, if you have a question, you can either use the chat or you can unmute yourself and just do it the old-fashioned way.
Hey, I have a question. Thank you for your presentation, both sides, Helium and Mimiko. This is Randall in Atlanta. And I was curious if you're working with any governments to help them with their employee reentry plan. I've been talking with some here in Georgia, and I know that's a big concern, and they're looking for technological solutions, but don't necessarily have a good strategy in place yet. So have you been talking with governments, and how's that conversation going? What's the biggest hurdles you're seeing for maybe technology adoption, especially with like privacy concerns and tracking and things of that nature?
Thanks, Randall. We haven't talked with any government yet. We are under extreme demand from food processing companies because they are in the like extreme need because it's directly affecting people's health. But it will be great to talk about that. We will open to those kind of collaborations. For privacy, we are taking it really seriously because that's why we developed platform agnostic server side. So if if a company or a government has a server or a cloud of their own, they can easily port all the system to their own. So no one else but them can reach the data. And thanks to Helium's blockchain, the data will be secured and can't be tweaked by third party or any hackers.
Okay, there's a number of questions in the chat. Kevin asked, can you inject other LoRa device data? We work in the IoT space and could provide our existing location data if that makes sense. Kevin, I'm not, if you're on the line still, I'm not sure I understand the question. When you say inject other LoRa device data, if you mean if you've got other devices that are using LoRaWAN, then absolutely you can start onboarding them to Helium and start transferring data. If that's not your question, I apologize, and please feel free to send us an email, and we'd love to talk more about that. Charlie asks, I think this one is for you, Noyan. Are you going to describe the location detection processes? Another use case, I'm experiencing this now, tracking in assisted living facilities. So for the second one, yes, that's we definitely hear that as a use case. And it's actually a nice segue. So we have another webinar coming up in 2 weeks, also focused on COVID-19, but they originally had been working on devices for assisted living facilities. So 2 weeks, please mark on your calendar, you'll hear more news about it. But I don't know, Noyan, if you want to describe anything about the location detection processes.
Yeah, with LoRa, it can be done, but it's not primarily our focus. But with this technology, definitely can be done to track assisted living facilities.
Okay, there's a number of questions about being able to purchase Mimic S. Like when will it be available for purchase? What's the price? Is that, did you want
so,
to?
Yeah, I can answer this question. So Mimic S will be available for purchase around next month. We ramped up the production and we started to deliver products as POCs to the companies we are working with, and it will be available to the public around next month. Basically, we will have two options. One is enterprise. It will be like more than 1,000 devices, and the other will be for small businesses. We will basically bundle 5 Mimic S and one gateway for small offices, and it can be you can basically buy more Mimic S to add to those system. So the price will be around $49 for 1,000 devices. Less than 1,000, it's $59, and there won't be any OPEX or CAPEX under 1,000 devices, but more than 1,000 we will have CAPEX or OPEX.
Great, thanks, Noyan. Rebecca asks, how would the device detect that someone has fallen down as opposed to simply standing in one location for a long time? I think that's, I mean, it's your solution is based on distance, not somebody falling or standing, right?
Yeah, we can understand that, Del, since we have accelerometer, gyroscope, and magnetometer in the device. We know the orientation of the device and any impact to the device or any impact who wears the device. So basically, we understand those from those sensors. Like again, we have vast amount of experience in the understanding the position of the device or even falling off the device, including when people is are wearing the device. We are working with Hearing Loss Association of America. We partnered with them. They had similar problem for their audience. So we are doing demo with their community, and hopefully we will have a good fault detection by end of this month.
Okay. Eric, here's an easy one for me. Where can I get a copy of the marketing video to share with colleagues? Thank you, Eric, for asking. As a follow-up, for anybody who registered, we will include a link to the recording. So you can please share it as far and as wide as you possibly can.
I have a question.
Sure.
Sure. So you mentioned when he was talking pricing about getting the devices, and you mentioned the gateway. So in my office, we don't have any helium hotspots anywhere around us for quite a couple miles. So what would I be required if I wanted to deploy this in my facility? I have a manufacturing facility. So besides the Mimic S devices, what would actually be required?
Thanks for the question, Fred. We will be providing industrial grade gateways connected to Helium network. We have industrial grade ones, we have consumer grade ones, and we have also really cheap ones. Around $69 is an indoor gateway for small spaces. Those will be connected to Helium network too. So I think that was your question. Yes.
So just to clarify a little further, so that would actually be the equivalent of a Helium hotspot in my organization. So I wouldn't have to add a Helium hotspot. Your gateway facilitates that, correct?
Yes, you can do both. Like if you would like to gain Helium coins and get paid from the data, you can always buy Helium Hot Spot, and we also recommend that too. But we have also other industrial grade solutions or cheaper solutions for really small spaces.
Gotcha. Okay, that answered my question. Thank you.
There's
Thanks,
a
Fred.
question from Jameson. Is it using it's Mimic S? Is it using BLE on the device side to do the proximity detections, and then LoRaWAN to communicate touch points to the application? What's the expected battery life?
Great question. Yes, we are using Bluetooth 5.2 to detect distance between devices, and we will be like the LoRaWAN will do the rest of the communication to the internet. So the expected battery life of our devices is if it's working 24/7, it's 2 weeks. Once you charge, it's rechargeable from micro USB. And if you use like 12-hour shifts, it will last a month, and so on. So basically, it looks like that. But we are very experienced about power consumption. This configuration is the most accurate configuration. We can make it like at least will last at least 3 months if needed.
Mm-hmm. Okay. I think you've asked some of these about availability and pricing. Kevin asks, is your only source of data yours? Not.
I didn't understand clearly.
Yeah, I'm not, Kevin, sorry, I'm not sure if your question is for Helium or Mimic, Smart Mimic. Okay, so next one, David Sandel asks, what is the business model? Examples, please. So David, is that a question for Smart Mimic or Helium?
I think it's for us.
Okay.
Yeah. Like our business model is, I think I explained this while answering another question. But basically, we ask for one-time hardware device cost, And if it's more than 1,000 devices in one facility, we ask for OPEX or CAPEX according to company's preference. And that's it. We don't charge anything for data, like as Smart Mimic, like we won't charge for data forever. So that's basically the business model to have Mimic S.
Thanks, Noyan. Any other questions for either Helium or Smart Mimic? Yeah, feel free to use the chat or ask us the old-fashioned way. When are you shipping the hotspots? So George asked, when are you shipping the hotspots? So we have been shipping hotspots. We're phasing it out. It's based on priority of when you actually pre-ordered. We already shipped out a batch in May, and we'll just continue to ship based on when the pre-order took place. Charlie asked, preferred discussion forum Slack. Yes, so we do have a community Slack. There's a number of channels. So go to the website and you'll see information about how to get to that community Slack. But it is quite active, and it is a good place to get kind of real-time information. Thanks for asking, Charlie. Oh, Emily, thank you. One of our coworkers just included the URL for the community Slack, chat.helium.com. So very, very straightforward. We have some family conversations happening in the chat now. That's great. George is saying the forum is really good. Thanks, George. Appreciate it. There's a number of team members who are very smart, very technical, and they're on top of things in that forum. So thanks for the call out, George. Well, thank you everybody for attending. Really appreciate it. Thank you to Smart Mimic for participating with us. As I mentioned, so a couple things just before we sign off here. So if you're curious about Smart Mimic, I think one of Noyan's coworkers put their URL in the chat, just smartmimic.com. And if you want to follow up with them about Mimic S for your use case, please feel free. For us, just a couple takeaways. So we will be providing a follow-up. In that follow-up, will include a recording of this presentation. And we have, we are horizontal and we love Smart Mimic, but we have other partners that are also doing very interesting things. In the next couple of weeks, we're going to have another company that is also very innovative in trying to address this pandemic and help businesses out. So please keep an eye out for that. And Charlie just quickly sent me a private message. Okay, thanks, Charlie. And thank you from Joe. Appreciate the kind words. So we'll give you back 15 minutes of your day. Hopefully this was helpful, and really appreciate taking time out of your day to join us and get some information. Thanks, Noyan. Any last words you want to say before we sign off?
Thanks, Dal. Thanks for having us, and we are looking forward to talk who interested in the emails, and we also have a Slack chat group. So if you'd like to join us, we will be sharing that link in the follow-up emails.
Great. Thanks all. Have a great day and stay safe. Take care. Bye.